You're on your roadmap to the latest in auto. Welcome to Highway Herald. In early 2025, the global energy landscape was rocked as Canada and Qatar rerouted natural gas exports from the US to Europe. Driven by tariffs and geopolitical shifts, this move left the US facing fuel price hikes and economic strain. Automakers, freight networks, and energy-reliant industries are now navigating a new reality. Today, we're unpacking the 5 major forces behind this shakeup. Because your next fuel bill might just be shaped in Brussels or Doha. Buckle up, it's a wild ride. Number 5. Canada charts a new course in gas distribution. The ignition point? A bold move by President Donald Trump. In early 2025, his administration introduced a sweeping 10% tariff on Canadian natural gas, aiming to reclaim economic leverage and recalibrate trade terms in America's favor. But instead of securing an upper hand, the decision ignited a swift backlash. Canada, long a reliable partner in North American energy flows, wasn't about to be boxed in. Under Prime Minister Mark Carney's leadership, Canada pivoted sharply. Declaring the era of deep US-Canada economic integration over, Carney laid out a new vision, one anchored in strategic independence and global outreach, with Europe and Asia now at the center of Canada's trade compass. At the heart of this shift is the LNG Canada facility in British Columbia, a mega project set to ship millions of tons of liquefied natural gas across the Atlantic and Pacific by mid-2025. Infrastructure upgrades, port expansions, and diplomatic visits to the UK and France underscore Canada's breakaway from US dependency. And as Canada changed course, another energy giant was already gaining speed in a different part of the world. Number 4. Qatar's rising role in Europe's gas supply chain. While Canada was changing course, Qatar was accelerating full throttle. Already a heavyweight in the LNG world, Qatar saw the global shakeup of 2025 as a window of opportunity and moved fast. With vast natural gas reserves and a government-backed infrastructure surge, the Gulf nation is positioning itself as Europe's new energy backbone. By 2030, Qatar plans to scale up LNG production from 77 million to a staggering 142 million metric tons annually, solidifying its grip on the global gas market. European nations, especially Germany and France, have eagerly signed long-term supply deals, hoping to break free from the volatility of Russian pipelines. For them, Qatar offers not just gas, but consistency, competitive prices, stable logistics, and delivery reliability that keeps lights on and factories humming. But it's not friction-free. The EU's Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, which enforces strict environmental and labor standards, has drawn criticism from Doha. Qatar warns that overly rigid rules may hamper trade. Even so, Qatar's aggressive engagement makes one thing clear. It's no longer just an energy supplier. It's a strategic powerhouse reshaping the future of European energy security. Before we delve deeper, if you're enjoying this breakdown of global trade and automotive impact, make sure to subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels the road ahead for more in-depth content like this. Let's continue the journey and see how all of this is hitting home. Number 3. US energy sector feels the squeeze. Meanwhile, back on American soil, the aftershocks are being felt loud and clear. The rerouting of natural gas from Canada and Qatar has left the US facing a supply crunch, and the effects are trickling down fast. Gas prices have spiked, brushing up against the $5 per gallon mark. For everyday drivers, long-haul truckers, and entire logistics networks, it's a financial gut punch. And for factories and automotive assembly plants that depend on steady energy costs to maintain margins, it's a warning sign blinking red. Adding insult to injury, energy sector job losses are hitting local economies hard, especially in states anchored by gas infrastructure and export processing. The US has tried to plug the gap by ramping up its own LNG exports to Europe, but with stiff competition from Qatar and the limitations of its export terminals, it's an uphill race. As the US scrambles to stabilize, Europe is already charting a strategic course forward. Number 2. Europe rewires its energy lifeline. As geopolitical shifts redrew the global energy map in 2025, Europe found itself at a critical crossroads. The abrupt halt of Russian gas transiting through Ukraine in January forced the continent to face a tough reality: evolve quickly or risk crippling shortages during peak demand. The solution? a bold pivot. Europe fast-tracked long-term LNG agreements with Canada and Qatar, locking in reliable alternatives to Russian supply lines. These contracts are more than fuel. They're strategic shields against future disruptions. Yet, as any driver knows, torque without traction can be dangerous. And Europe's ride toward energy independence isn't without bumps. A major internal divide is now unfolding. Some EU members argue that Russian LNG is still needed to stabilize prices, while others insist on a full disengagement by 2027. That tension is stalling consensus and testing the limits of European unity. But it's not just Europe rethinking its energy alliances. Canada and Qatar are taking their ambitions global. Number 1. Canada and Qatar shift into global energy overdrive. What started as a defensive response to US tariffs has revved into a full-throttle global strategy. Canada and Qatar aren't just adjusting, they're engineering a whole new framework for the future of energy. Canada, once seen as America's reliable fuel stop, is now evolving into a global LNG powerhouse. With bustling new developments in British Columbia and Newfoundland, billions are flowing into LNG export terminals, port infrastructure, and local job creation. These aren't just economic upgrades. They're the building blocks of Canada's transformation into a key player on the world energy stage. And it's not going it alone. Ottawa is deepening ties with longtime allies like France and the UK, building not just exports, but influence. Qatar, meanwhile, is shifting its role from mere supplier to global energy architect. Its massive gas reserves are now backing long-term deals with Germany, Italy, and Japan, alongside port and logistics partnerships that redefine modern energy trade. Together, Canada and Qatar are crafting an energy axis that doesn't revolve around Washington. With diversified alliances and long-term strategies, they're challenging the US playbook, and the US is left scrambling to regain traction. Conclusion: the torque of transformation. Canada and Qatar's energy pivots have reshaped the global landscape, and the US is feeling the shake. What began as a tariff tactic has morphed into a major power shift, impacting everything from LNG terminals to fuel prices. Europe now enjoys short-term energy stability, but faces new long-term risks. Canada has gone global, while Qatar is flexing its geopolitical muscle. The US stands at a fork in the road. Stick with tariffs or embrace strategic cooperation. For auto enthusiasts and industry watchers alike, this isn't just about gas. It's about how international moves influence your next fill-up, supply chain costs, and the pace of electric vehicle progress. Now it's your turn. Should the US shift its energy trade strategy before it's too late? Are Canada and Qatar racing ahead, or racing into risk? How will this global shakeup affect car prices, fuel, and innovation? Drop your thoughts and insights below. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into global energy and its impact on the automotive space, be sure to subscribe to Highway Herald and hit that bell so you never miss a shift in the global gears. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's more exciting and informative content waiting for you.